All right, glad to be, is the mic working? Glad to be with you. We don't have an intro. It's not a Good Morning Mug Club because this is kind of a, I guess you would say, not really an emergency stream, but an update stream. I apologize if I'm breathing like I have COVID. It's a cold. With actual symptoms.
Really?
COVID's
There are
gone.
no asymptomatic colds. So we're going to get into why you shouldn't let the media. The good thing is the Constitution doesn't allow the media to call elections.
Oh, who knew?
So there's some things we know. There's some things we don't know. We're going to learn about some of the things that we don't know with Rudy Giuliani on in a few minutes. But first, I think we've talked about unity. Well, the left now talks about unity. That's the value to trump all other values is unity and civility. I know. For 4 years, it just escaped our minds. But we do want to find common ground.
I love how MAGA chuds use leftists and shit libs interchangeably. I mean, I personally love it, right? It's great.
And the good thing is we can all find common ground to celebrate right now because the good news is COVID's over.
So can you tell us, what would Joe do differently?
Oh my gosh. I mean, Joe, really, we can't do anything until we get this virus under control. And you've heard the scientists and the doctors, that's who we're following. And they are saying, wear your mask, socially distance.
That's awesome.
Festive.
I'm offended that they use crappy champagne to drink from.
Right. We're half Asian lawyer Bill Richmond is here.
Hello.
A lot to talk about legally
Ready.
today. Quarter Black Garrett is here.
Good
Audio
morning. Sunday
Wade.
morning.
Tokanawan. Gerald A. How are you?
I'm well.
Did you get some sleep?
I
None of
did,
us did.
yes.
Ha!
Tons. What are you talking
Trick
about?
question.
Just Gerald.
Just me.
Let me lead this really quickly, by the way, before, because for some reason there are also a lot of defeatist conservatives out there.
I turned off my mic
who
so
have
you
bought
can't hear
what
me.
the media have sold them. Let me tell you something first off. I want to be really clear here. We do not know that Donald Trump has won. I want to make that very clear. There still is a very good chance that he's lost. Probably more likely than not. Yeah. But we definitely don't know that Joe Biden has won. I want to be clear about that. There's been enough screwery afoot that needs to be investigated. And we are at a point right now where it's not really just about Trump. It is about the future of free and fair elections. When we talk about trust in our institutions, Donald Trump didn't erode trust in our institutions. That's not what happened here. American...
No, you didn't even show him. Trump definitely eroded trust in our institutions. I mean, knowing that the Russia meddling in our 26th election was essentially a wash, it doesn't change the fact that Trump and his team worked really hard to try to use legal mechanisms to collect as much data as possible on all registered, not even registered, but eligible voters. And he used that to his advantage to try to influence and deter voters to either stay at home or to show up and vote for him. Now, this isn't widespread information. It's only been reported on some online media channels. But I would go so far to say that Donald Trump gamed the system in a way that technically is legal. But the fact that he did that as a means to seek election in 2016, and the same mechanisms just didn't work this time around. And now instead, he is eroding trust in our electoral processes because he refuses to accept the outcome and is instead seeding doubt planting the seed of doubt to anyone who will listen that there is a real structural flaw in our democratic processes, and there are real flaws. But it's not because the Democrats decided to steal this election from him. It's because the very foundations of our electoral processes are skewed in favor of some groups over another. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the Electoral College, we wouldn't have the Senate, we wouldn't have gerrymandering, and we wouldn't have other means of voter suppression that would make it incredibly hard or even disenfranchise some members of society so that they don't have the ability to exercise political power in this country, right? But again, this is just a copium. This is maximum level copium, where Republicans have to find anything to hold on to at this point. In their refusal to accept reality, the failed cheddar, thank you for the follow, and the outcomes of this election. Yeah. Democrats needed to cope too, because they couldn't believe that enough people showed up and voted for Donald Trump of their own volition. It was a really hard moment for the Democrats to come to terms with people being that fucking awful, behind closed doors, and actually voting for Donald Trump, anonymously.
If you look at the Google search trends, they are very, very aware of voting. And I don't want to say voter fraud. I want to be clear, voting irregularities.
Yeah.
Here's one thing. Anyone who tells you that Joe Biden has won, this is some...
Crowder thinks he's under siege, I guess? Wait a minute.
Yeah, 28 U.S. Marines pulling up in black Ford Raptor trucks. Helicopters landed. Ram Ranch is under siege, under lockdown. U.S. Marines are gonna fuck Ram Ranch cowboy butts.
What was that? Ram Ranch is under siege? I'm so confused. I'm sorry. What the fuck was that? Was that just your way to get me to turn off Steven Crowder? If so, it worked.